So I have approvals in the high 40s. Every network that you see, with the exception of Fox, Fox has been fair, but every network you see hits me on every topic, made up stories like Russia. They do the Russia, the faux Russia. I call it the fake Russia story. Russia story was made up because they were embarrassed by their loss. You see all of these other phony stories. It's so bad, and for me to have great approval records in light of all the faux press and the fake press, I think is amazing.
President Trump, from our exclusive interview earlier today, saying that the media's obsession over what he deems distractions is the driving force behind his approval ratings for the first 100 days. Here now our panel of media experts: Howard Kurtz, host of MediaBuzz here on FNC, Mollie Hemingway, senior editor at The Federalist, and Richard Fowler, senior fellow at the New Leaders Council. Both are Fox News contributors. Welcome to all of you. So, Howie, he's essentially saying that the reason that his numbers are lower than, say, President Obama's were at this point or President Bush's were at this point is that the media hits him so hard that it weighs on them.
Well, every president faces a learning curve, and they do think the networks view this president with disdain. I have to say that no president in our lifetimes has been subjected to such a relentless barrage of negative coverage and bitterly hostile commentary and personal ridicule. And it's not just ideological. Many journalists, not all, and some are being fair and some are trying to examine the record, have a kind of a visceral disdain for Donald Trump, the guy they said that would never win, and he has a different style. He is talking, tweeting, working at his positions in public, and that is in polar contrast to the poll-tested, carefully calibrated language of most politicians.
You know, I have to wonder, Mollie, because we did 3 different town halls, you know, wanted to talk to voters and see how they're feeling now and test the support, whether it was waning or not. Now, those are just 3 rooms full of people, but in every case, when I asked people to raise their hands if they were still, you know, very enthusiastic, or were they, you know, were happy but with concerns or disappointed, in most cases, the room, all the hands went up saying that they were enthusiastic. So it makes me wonder to some extent, are these numbers accurately reflecting the enthusiasm for the president or not?
Well, it's good to remember that he was elected without having high approval ratings. Yeah. And I would almost say that the numbers are as low as they are despite the media coverage being so hostile. I think for many people, the hostility of the media was actually something that drew them to Donald Trump. And if you want to see low approval numbers, you look at media approval numbers. You have people, particularly Republicans, but on both sides of the aisle, who report that they have very little trust in the media to tell a story accurately. So the fact that the media has been so hostile to him, I don't think that's hurting him altogether that much.
Richard, your thoughts?
If not helping.
Oh, I do think it's helping him with his base. So amongst his base of supporters who are pro-Trump, have their Trump-Pence bumper sticker on, the media hate helps him immensely. But I think if you talk to the general American public, I think they're sort of lukewarm on Donald Trump. And I think the reason why they're lukewarm on him is not necessarily because of the media, but it's because of White House missteps, right? Starting from day one when he started arguing about his crowd size, to the failure of the Health Care Act that they tried to do, to sort of this week saying, we're going to pass all these bills this week because it's the first 100 days, but we don't care about the first 100 days. And all of that is played into everyday Americans saying, I'm not so sure.
You know, it's interesting. You look at these special elections that we've had, right? There's been a lot of discussion about whether or not Democrats could make some ground there. They haven't. I asked the president about that. You know, whether or not he felt that he was getting support of congressmen who wanted his help because of these poll numbers. And his claim was, you know, I am helping them, and they're doing okay, and it's working. Mollie, what do you think?
I'd say more important than his 45% approval rating is that he has a 48% disapproval rating. If he weren't underwater on that, he could be using his bully pulpit more. But again, it's early on, and it is helping. I mean, he did win. The Kansas election was one. I think Georgia will probably go in the Republicans' favor as well.
The president took a shot at House Republicans in your interview. Yeah. It's not a governing party yet. That is hurting him because of the lack of a major bill getting through. But I have to say also that, yes, there have been missteps. Every new president has missteps. JFK had the Bay of Pigs. But the press still doesn't understand that for all of our efforts to truth squad and fact-check this president, our collective credibility has suffered so much in recent years, and particularly in the Trump era, that half the country that supported Donald Trump doesn't believe just about anything we say, and when we attack him, it actually helps him. Now, does that extend to Democrats and independents? To some extent, I still think that everybody hates us, so we're a big fat target. Are we fake news all the time? No, I think that's overstated, but we are struggling in our own credibility as we try to cover this president.
I mean, you have to wonder about these poll numbers. You have to, after what we saw in the last election, sort of question whether or not they are truly reflective. And I don't know the answer to that, but, you know, during the election, it was apparent that a lot of people that were Trump supporters had so much disdain for polling organizations that they didn't want to talk to them, that they didn't answer their calls. What's your feel, Richard?
So my thought on this is this. I think polls are polls, right? But you look at what's happening on the Hill, and that's usually a good barometer of where this president is. When politicians don't want to stand with you, when you have a battle between the Tuesday group, the Charlie Dents of the world, and the Freedom Caucus, and they can't come together, when you guys are the ruling party, that speaks to the fact that you don't have enough power to get your own members to do what you want them to do.
It also speaks to the fact that the president ran against the Republican establishment. He's almost like an independent president, an outsider president, and so that's making it harder to pull the two different wings of the party together.
What do you think, Mollie?
The problem is that the media are making everything a problem, and it's hard to take them seriously on anything.
Everything goes to 11.
Everything goes to 11.
Everything goes to 11. Thank you very much, you guys.